And we're live, I think, right there. Boom. Everyone, this is Christian Bonner. How do I say your last name?
Bonnier.
Bonnier. Okay. And we're super honored to have him here today. He's got a strong TikTok following. Nicole and Christian just talked for the first time about your business, which we hope to chat about a little bit. But you've had a real interesting journey to where you're at right now. You've been an author. Obviously, you've been an infopreneur for a while now. You 2 Comma Club Award winner with ClickFunnels. Like, you've done a lot. And like, I think I also saw that. Are you a digital nomad, or how are you doing life like that? Right?
No, I live in Tampa full time. I mean, I travel a lot because I have, I work from my laptop, so I bounce around the country and the world, I guess, just working and staying productive. But yeah.
And then you also started Fragile, which you're wearing the hat there for. Can you give us our audience like a quick update of like what is Fragile, where that came from?
Yeah, so I was just like thinking of, I think I actually read a social media post that like a shipping box has really good branding on it. Someone should make it into a streetwear brand. I was like, oh, Fragile, make it a little bit proprietary, cut out a couple letters, turn the wine glass into a heart, right? Handle with care. So it's like a rebrand of a package shipping tape with like a mental health spin. Like, people should be treated with care and respected, handled with care, right? So that's kind of how that was born. And then I met somebody who does merchandising. So I was like, well, this is too good to be true. I have to move forward with it. So that's how I spun that up.
How much of a conversation starter is this? Because you come to Tampa, I guess like you were new to Tampa. Was this something that helped make new friends or continues to help make new friends? Because people are kind of like, well, what is that?
Yeah, the hat's like, I've been here for 3 years in Tampa. The hat's like a year old. So
gotcha.
People will come up and say, yo, your hat's cool. And I'll be like, oh, I made it. And then, yeah, it definitely does help with conversation.
I made it. You can buy it. So.
So tell us about this copywriting thing. So she was talking a little bit about your discussion there, but is this your major focus right now, the copywriting business?
Yeah, my social, well, I run a marketing company called Client Ascension. That's how we got the 2 Comma Club. And then I run a software company called ListKit. ListKit's probably the biggest focus just because it's a B2B software. And, with valuations on B2B software, it's probably our best interest to give the most time to ListKit.
Wow. Now, how long have you been hustling, man? It sounds like you've been at this a while. And this is not your first rodeo, obviously. How long have you been proactively building businesses?
Yeah, it's been about 4 years. I mean, I was in college 4 years ago during COVID, and we were sick of, taking Zoom class online and doing nothing. So then my friends and I started a marketing company. Didn't really do too well for, a year. And then we discovered cold email, got really good at it, offered it as a service as a marketing agency, working with, email marketing guys, influencer marketing guys. And then we converted to a coaching program because you can scale a coaching business a lot further than a done for you service. But we had the track record of, hey, we did this ourselves. We're not just selling you something we've never done. And then we launched ListKit as a software, and that's kind of been our evolution. So
much has been born out of COVID. If I can tell you, we do so many interviews, and I was like, during COVID, I decided to change everything in my life because
live in Bali. And So 88,000 followers. We can't ignore this. Like, is that your strongest platform right now? I haven't been able to look at your other platforms. That's your strongest?
Yeah, I would say TikTok is my biggest following. I also have a pretty good presence on Twitter. I don't call it X, I call it Twitter.
Yeah.
I have like 29,000 on Twitter, but that's where a lot of our business comes from. So I would say like TikTok and Twitter are pretty equal. And then my Instagram is just like a for fun kind of thing.
I saw that. What would you attribute to your growth? Most of our following is a lot of creators. And even though we're learning more and more, these creators have what they would call side hustles, and they're trying to mature them into real businesses. Their real focus is growth. How long have you been intentionally trying to grow your TikTok following?
I would say for a year and 3 months. Like last August, I started posting, and then I went hard at it from like, I'd say a year. I've been trying pretty hard. Yeah.
Really? And what have you attributed to, like, what are the traits that really get you there?
Consistency, number one. I mean, you have to post once a day.
Yeah.
But I would say the biggest trait to have is just being really good on camera and being able to deliver a point with confidence. Like, not saying, oh, I think Tampa's really good. It's like, Tampa's the best city for X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, that hooks the audience in. It's like, why did he say this? Yeah.
Yeah, man. So consistency is key. And like I'm telling you, from macro to nano, like every creator says consistency is key. Do you feel like you had to spend any time shaping your own like message or voice? Does it matter what you're talking about?
I mean, I've kind of boiled it down to a framework. Like there's a few key topics that tend to go viral every time. So that's what I fall back on. Like XYZ is the best. Like Tampa's the best city. Cold email is the best marketing strategy, right? Like do this in your 20s. So yeah, like there's like a couple different silos of content that work really well. So
what about the women who date toxic men content?
Dating's a really viral topic because everyone can relate to it, right?
So, oh my gosh. So many of we have friends, Nikki Cash, her TikTok is literally all about dating in your 30s and like trying to find the right guy. And she even does like this speed network dating in St. Pete. And she shares about that. And she's grown tremendously because it just hits a chord. Like everybody says, dating is so hard in your 30s. There's a plenty of places to go and plenty of places to meet, but that people are just not in relationship. Like, I guess don't want relationships or just there's not enough attention span to like, that's what she said. I think that's when I asked her, I was like, why do you think, you guys aren't able to get in a serious relationship? And it was all about the guys, they blame it on the guy's attention span because he can just go date, somebody else if he gets bored with me. That's what I was like, is that for real? It's been a while, but I don't know.
It got clicks though.
I bet it. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
So it sounds like you never set out to be a creator per se, a content creator. It sounds like it's just a function of your marketing. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I mean, I started TikTok as a way to generate leads for my business, and then I've quickly found that you can get a lot more views just talking about whatever you want. So I kind of pivoted my strategy, but I mean, I'll still sprinkle in a business video here and there. Like that's how you guys came across me, is like a regular video. Then I have business stuff pinned on my profile, so people can easily figure out what I do, and any exposure that you can get, in my opinion, is solid. So
yeah. Now, from a marketing perspective, you said X, you get a lot of business from X. Do you think you see higher conversions from X in general compared to TikTok?
Yeah, for sure. Just because the niche that I'm in on Twitter is like very micro oriented towards agency owners and SaaS founders. So I'll post like really high level business stuff on there. Like here's a cold email strategy that'll get XYZ results. Right.
Yeah. So on Twitter, you don't go into the other topics like you would on TikTok, like the dating, like any of that stuff. You really stay on niche for Twitter. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. I found like I was deep in crypto Twitter, like right up until about a year ago. And I found that if I deviated at all, it got zero engagement. Like once they know you for something, like that's the algos feeding you for sure.
We've been in Threads the past, like I would say 3 months, and it's been way more effective as far as business marketing goes, just because there's real conversations. But I don't know, is that as effective as Twitter?
No way.
No. Okay.
No way. Like that audience in Twitter is like diehard. Yeah. Right. And I think Threads have you experimented with Threads at all?
Nah, I'm not really a fan of Threads. I feel like it was like a thing for a few days and then just kind of died off.
I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing some interest, but you're right. But from a conversion rate and from an, I guess, ROI. Now, let me ask this. I mean, you're a marketer, and we very rarely actually have someone who's really thinking about this from a marketer's perspective. You said you do email, and you got really effective at emails. And I assume you deploy email for your own business as well. Is email still the best ROI you get? Are creators the best ROI you get? What's the best avenue of marketing that has the highest ROI for you?
Highest ROI is definitely cold email.
Okay.
At scale, it's ads, but the return on ads isn't as great as cold email, but you can get a lot further with ads because cold email is very much a manual process where you have to answer replies, book meetings, they work really well. So we always like to say that, cold email can get you from 0 to 1. It can get you from 10 to 50K, 0 to 10K, whatever. But then if we're in the 6 figures a month range, like we need ads to, double a business at, a couple $100,000 a month.
Yeah.
Do you have a dedicated ads person, or is that just like you or your team, or you bootstrap?
I mean, my business partner handles all of like the media buying and, you know, scaling the budgets and making sure they're converting. I film some of the ads as well. I mean, I'm the face of a handful of our best ads, so it's a good mix.
Interesting. And what type of ad is seeing the best response? Is it video ads hand down?
Yeah, the best ad right now, I think, is where I just open with like, we sent 500,000 cold emails and got XYZ result, just because it's like that viral hook factor.
Very hooky.
That's good to know.
Very hooky.
We're going to be recording video content for our next ad. I'm like, let's just say it. Like, and it's influencer marketing. Like, you're going to get, and it's really based around the ROI you get on the ad, you know, on ads and content versus traditional marketing.
Yeah. What are the tips you have for people just starting out on their TikTok? Like, you already gave us a few. Are there any like absolute do not do X? Like, do you have your own set of rules you do execute for TikTok?
I would say just like figure out what's already working. Like for me, I have a bank of 300 videos I can look back on and say, oh, this one went viral. How can I make it better?
Yeah.
If you're just starting out, I would just sit on your feet and be like, what made you stop? And then reverse engineer the hook and why it worked, and then do that.
Yeah.
But I would say like the biggest cardinal rule is like mass market appeal. You can't go on and be like, you know, this cold email strategy will get you the most calls, because that's going to appeal to like 50,000 people. Whereas if I say the best way to avoid FOMO on the weekends is by starting a business, now all of a sudden anyone that, you know, goes out and parties can relate to having FOMO. Oh my God, wait, I can start a business and not feel the need to go out every weekend, right? So
keep myself occupied.
It's like the same principle, but you're just delivering it a different way. So that's what I think the biggest.
What if you have a business and still have FOMO?
One
of us will be out and we're like, man, you're out. Like, I'm over here working on marketing or something.
You're a seasoned business guy, and I don't just want to ask you for the few minutes more that I have you. I want to know a little bit more about your paradigms on business. I mean, you sound like you have several really strong legs to your portfolio of businesses. What have you found works the best? You just said earlier that coaching's more scalable than done for you services. Is kind of a new rule, like you're only doing stuff that you can scale like that? Or are you still, I mean, you're obviously doing done for you services a little bit. Is that just to keep the lights on, so to speak?
I mean, so we don't really have a done for you business right now. Technically, like our coaching is done with you. It's a program, and then ListKit is a software.
Yeah.
So that's do it yourself. But we do have a done for you arm that I talked to you guys about of ListKit that helps us sell the software.
Yeah.
So keeping the lights on is probably the coaching program, just to, you know, fund our lifestyle and pay our bills. And then the software, don't really care how much we profit on it, trying to sell it for, you know, 9 figures one day. So
gotcha. So you're like, okay, and this is a good thing because we've been broaching into software ourselves. This isn't your first SaaS play, is it?
It actually is, yeah.
It is. Okay. And so like, what's the philosophy on your spend? Because are you just doing a burn rate and just plowing every dollar back into marketing and like new user acquisition, or like, what's your philosophy there?
Philosophy on client acquisition, you're saying?
On ListKit itself and growing it to a 9-figure exit or a 9-figure sale, like, I mean, are you giving yourself any margin? Are you taking any cash out of the business? Or are you just plowing everything back into growth?
Yeah, I mean, we invest a ton into marketing and development and our team, but we do, you know, pay ourselves as owners every month. It's not anything like life-changing, because like I said, we're really just trying to scale it as far as we can and make that life-changing money on a sale. But yeah, I mean, we still take distributions just to cover ourselves and make sure that we have food on the table, right? But
you gotta stay sane. What are some of the early mistakes you made on your SaaS play on ListKit?
I would say early mistakes. First of all, relying too much on organic word of mouth to grow it, because we have big audiences on all my business partners, and I have a good following on Twitter, TikTok, etc. And we got it pretty far with just word of mouth, but we hesitated a long time to run ads on it. And that's the ads of what have gotten us to where we're at today. So I would say invest in more marketing channels is a big word of advice, like as fast as you can. And then what else? I'm trying to think.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, we do. You just think about organic because it's free, it's cheap, it's quote unquote easy. But you're right, it's not effective at the scales people want to grow. And so that makes sense.
What about webinars? Have you guys ever done the whole webinar funnel play?
Yeah, I actually run I'm actually running the webinar on Thursday. We get a bunch of opt-ins from our ads, and anyone that doesn't book a call or close, I just every couple weeks or every month I'll run a webinar funnel where I send a couple emails, get them opted into a Zoom webinar, host a webinar on Thursday, give them a discount to our done for you offer. The same discount I presented to you guys because you didn't come from our paid ads. It's like, hey, if you close right now on this webinar, you get a discount and it makes logical sense. You're not paying. We don't have to pay a sales rep to, we can charge less because we're not paying commission to a sales guy.
I never thought about reframing it that way. I just thought about webinars as a marketing avenue, but reframing instead of hiring a salesperson, let's just execute on this strategy consistently. And then we can go from there. That's actually a brilliant reframe for me. That's huge. Now, okay, question on this. And I know I see the time. You got about 3 minutes here with us. Where did your partners come from? And what's the secret of working well with partners?
So it's kind of been a journey. I met my partner Andre in college as a freshman. We were just doing a podcast together, being regular students. Evolved into a business relationship after like 3-4 years. And then our other partner Dan is Andre's cousin, so he came into the picture as well. And then we actually took a cold email course from this guy Daniel, became his model students, and partnered with him on Client Ascension and eventually ListKit. So it's kind of all snowballed. And then our fifth partner, Oliver, does all the development for ListKit. So we met him. He was actually in our program as well. And then he reached out to us like, I have a really good technical background. I can develop the whole software for you guys. So we brought him in. I would say the best way to attract good partners is to just become an authority yourself, because that's how I met Daniel. He liked what we were doing, and he went from teacher to partner or peer, if you will. And then Oliver joined our program and partnered with us. So if you have a big audience and a big brand and you're doing good stuff, high level people will come into your sphere naturally, I guess you could say. And they'll want to work with you. So, I mean, same way I'm talking to you guys right now, building an audience, being out there, putting your name out there, or just finding a friend in college that's very business.
Do people starting out, young guys starting out, do they have to wait until they have an audience?
To start a business?
Yeah, to start that project they're thinking about?
No, I mean, that's why I love cold email. Like, you could be a nobody, but if you send a good cold email to somebody, they're going to want to work with you. And I mean, I think there's a really big something to say about building a brand while you build your business. Like when we started our Twitter brands, if you will, we were just starting out, and we were like, signed our first client, got our first 10K month, got our first 20K month, and people respected that because we're showing our wins and losses in public. So if you're
building in the open,
if you're starting out, start out, but then also document your journey, and that people will start to respect you for that. Like I've seen people on YouTube do like a daily vlog where they document their journey, and it blows up. So
yeah,
definitely.
Well, Christian, we've come to the end of our time. Where can I direct people to check you guys out?
I'll pull up a link.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, I have a bunch of ventures, so I will. I'll send a link to ListKit. I'll send a link to my YouTube channel. I think my YouTube channel is really good it's just free content of me, so that's a super valuable resource that I'll send.
I didn't realize you were on YouTube. I hadn't even thought to check there for you.
Boom. Got it. Okay. So anyone, please check out listkit.io. Check out Christian. Fragile. And I'm big on this because mental health is obviously everyone's concern. And at the same time, no one's concern, and everyone's like, oh yeah, everyone's got problems.
Yeah.
But I dig the brand. I like the story behind the brand. Everyone check this out, and please check out what Christian and his crew are doing over at listkit.io. Dude, thank you for the time you've given us. It's been a power moment. Have a great afternoon, man.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Take it easy. Boom. Everyone, please check out Christian's stuff. That was powerful. That was like rapid fire. And
I love it. I like rapid fire.
I felt bad but he had somewhere to be. But here's his link, everyone. I see you all watching still. Christian's done a lot, and you can check out his TikTok because that's what we were talking about. Like 88,000 followers. But if you look at his Instagram, there's very few posts there, but they show a lot of his journey. They show the book he published. I think it was the One Way. What was it? The One Way Connection or something like that. Oh, I have it.
Okay.
Tap the screen. One Connection Away is his book. It's on Amazon. And then him getting an award with Russell Brunson of the 2 Comma Club. Mad respect for him doing that. And it just sounds like he keeps his head down and grinds it out. What were your takeaways? Go ahead.
How young is he?
4 years ago, he was in college. So. And we need to connect him with Elise.
I did actually. I told him about Elise at the beginning of our other call.
And
she's older. She's an older woman to him.
Well, still, but Christian, if you're watching, she does specialize
in men's mental
health,
high
performance men's mental health. So there might be a collab there of some sort. We'll see if you guys can't chat a little bit. What were your takeaways? What stood out to you about his demeanor, his character, his insights, his tips? What stood out?
I think if you're a content creator listening to this show, that you should really pay attention to the things that he said about consistency. And then something we've talked about a lot is you have a volume of content so you can constantly test what works, and having a very focused hook that strays away from any doubt. Right. Like very solid. This is what I'm said, what I said, this is what I'm going to say. And then pay attention to what works and go back to it and do another spin or recreate it. And I think it's solid advice and something that we've mentioned, but like he's living proof. He has 88,000. I found him on TikTok. I just thought his Tampa content was really funny and really relative.
Big time.
And then I realized he does email marketing. And like he said, he doesn't overload you with email marketing content. You wouldn't even unless you really looked for it, you wouldn't even know. But he got me with the Tampa content and some of his other stuff. And I started following him because I don't know, there's something about seeing a city that you've been in before that feels familiar. And you're like, oh, I know where that is. I know where that is. And then you just kind of feel endeared to the person and and he's funny. So
what stood out to me, and if you check out his TikTok, it's CB Copyright. Copyrights, I think. CB Copyright. We'll put the link up here in just a quick second so that you can check out his account. It's right at the top there. CB Writes Copy. Here, I'm going to put this down on the screen so everyone can get at it here. It's at CB Writes Copy. What stood out to me about Christian and his demeanor, everything across the board, someone who has 88,000 followers. He's not doing dances. He's not doing edited reels. He's not spending any time. The only element I felt was A, he was consistent, but B, I do think he's hooky. The way he opens his videos. One of his videos starts out with, man, the women in Tampa are X, Y, and Z. And he then goes, and it was very hook. I forget how he said it, but then he goes on to explain that, there's gorgeous women in Miami, gorgeous women in Vegas, gorgeous women in all these wonderful cities. But like 10 out of 10 of these young ladies in Tampa versus 1 out of 10 in Miami. And it was a fun little shtick, but it had nothing to do with copywriting.
Right.
It was not fancy editing.
No, all of his content is talking head.
It's just talking. And if you look at his grid, everyone's like, your grid's got to look like X. And it's like, no, he's a normal looking guy in a ball cap, looking like he's very relaxed. But he did say you got to be comfortable on camera. And we hear people say that. And it's often when they're, either practiced and it just has become like second nature, or they're natural and it's already second nature. And they don't really think through like what makes it so comfortable. And I think he operates very hooky. And if you watch the playback of our conversation, you could see him thinking, and his responses were shorter than other people. He wasn't as verbose, but he was saying a lot in a little bit of time. And I think he has that natural ability maybe to think of that way.
Could it be he's a copywriter?
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
He's really good at communicating. He's been in marketing for what,
at least the last 4 years, maybe 6,
So all those skill sets.
And he also doesn't consider himself a content creator.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. He considers himself a marketer. I started this platform, and now he recognizes content creation across the board. Now, the other thing I heard was this, his crew, especially when they started on Twitter, they all were building up their brands in order to share each other's audiences. And I think that could not be overlooked, that, a lot of creators out there just starting going it alone, as opposed to like building up their brand with a cohort, with a crew. Now, he said he picked up his crew along the way too. And I think he mentioned you have to be your own authority. in the space. You have to become your own authority in the field. How do you become an authority?
You continue to talk about the same thing over and over again.
How does that apply when it, as we've seen from his pillars of content, he doesn't even talk about his thing, really, not much. Like, where's the authority come? Is it just borrowed authority from your large numbers? You like your platform, you're following?
Yeah, I think that's a part of it, but he has multiple platforms. I mean,
and multiple businesses.
Yeah.
And an email list. And so the other thing he said for those who came on later, he was very clear that his highest ROI is his email list. And he gets the most that way. I meant to ask him, but we ran out of time, if he's running that on ClickFunnels. I couldn't tell if he's still running on ClickFunnels.
Yeah, we were going to ask that.
But he basically, I wonder if he's not building authority through his follow-up and his drips. It's one thing to have the top of funnel. You know, let me get these 88,000 TikTok followers, these 29, 30,000 X Twitter followers. Yeah. And then they come into my system, whether it's the fragile shop, which I love. For those who are just catching, he said his fragile shop, and the link is right here, is a merch line based on the marketing of shipping boxes, which has the like fragile on the side and the broken wine glass, but they turn it into a heart. Brilliant marketing. Handle with care, it says. Fantastic marketing. You're in this ecosystem of his, but it's probably like a grand master list.
I'm sure they have a serious automation and email drip campaign.
I wanted to get into it a little bit. Like, okay, tell me about that.
I know you were nerding out for sure.
Well, yeah, man, you got 20 minutes of someone killing it.
I know. I was like, why is this is only 20 minutes? We probably talked to him for, you know, an hour or more, because he's actually doing a lot of things that we talk about doing, or we are doing, and we're getting it to the next level. So I already know my plan. I'm getting an Influencer Academy hat that just says Influencer Academy. I'm going to wear it on my TikTok, and I'm going to talk about stuff. And it's
just normal stuff.
Just anything, everyday stuff. I'm literally going to steal his shtick. And I'm going to do it for 3 months straight and see what happens.
And you raise a really good point that I want to call out. The thing I noticed about Christian is he was fine with the boring things. In fact, when we asked him to come on very last minute, and he was very gracious with his time, we asked him to come on very last minute. He said, yes. Can we hard stop at 12:30? And then he had to follow up and say, honestly, guys, it's a really slammed afternoon. Could I please hard stop at 12:20? I had a massive respect for that.
Yeah.
Because A, obviously he's busy, but B, he's willing to speak up, but C, he values it. And what is he doing? He's probably doing the very mundane things. And you think, well, I've got to make my Instagram reels really fancy, and it's going to take me an hour. It's like, or you set your clock, and at 10:30 a.m. every day, you get a talking head and a really hooky statement, talk for a minute or three, whatever your thing is, and be consistent, the boring consistency. Yeah. So that's super convicting. So if you had your Influencer Academy hat, but just got on and did the consistent thing, what's the most consistent you think you've ever been?
On my personal Instagram.
Are you doing it every day?
About every day, yeah, I do. When you've asked me, that is the number one thing. I don't even think that my content is good. I think the fact that I post every single day, and I have some good hooks that I have taken from other reels. I'm very open about that. It's like, look for what is trending. That it's the consistency that I've been rewarded for 100%. Like I went from getting an average of 200 views to now like a bad day is 2,500. I'm like, dang it. You know, if I don't get above 10K views, I'm like, this was trash. But I'm learning what my, when to post and what my audience is going to respond to, or not my audience, the audience is going to respond to.
Some audience.
Yeah. It's not necessarily your audience. You're hoping it's not your audience. You're hoping it's somebody else.
New followers.
Yeah.
Or new viewers.
New viewers. Yeah. So consistency 100%. If you posted every single day, Grant, your Instagram would get a lot more followers.
I know. I just get bored with seeing myself lifting weights.
I get that. That's why I use a lot of B-roll. Like I went to Georgia and I wasn't in any of the reels I posted. It was all like scenery stuff and like feel good stuff. And maybe that's why I didn't get that many views. But when you need that mental break, you don't focus on yourself. You put something else in your content.
Yeah, this was a powerful, and even though we had him for only 20 minutes, it was a powerful 20 minutes.
Yes, very inspiring.
I'm going to have to like sit back and like ponder. Like,
you're going to need a moment.
I am going to need a moment, man. Christian, thank you again for coming on. And for those who watch, please check out linkless.io. Watch for their 9-figure exit, as he announced. He's looking to build a company with a 9-figure exit with his buddies. We have a lot of respect for that.
They got 5 partners.
Yeah, they got 5 partners, and they got other businesses going on.
And you know what else I learned?
What?
you gotta pay for ads. You cannot lean on your organic growth.
Yeah, no, I did hear that. I did hear that. So check back in with us next week. And we will be here with the Hot Spark Show. And if you have any creators specifically that you'd like to hear from, let us know. We could probably get a hold of them and get them on the show. Otherwise,